I saw the same things all over the place that, kids were like reportedly like breaking out in tantrums and crying and stuff because their Tamagotchis would die and then schools started to have to like address the issue because and this is way before cell phones were a thing.
Dude, there's an urban legend that someone hung themselves over their Tamagotchi.
Are you serious?
Dang,
dude, you were searching the depths of the web for some intel.
Yeah, over there in the dark web. Yeah, there's a story. I don't know a lot of the details. Like I say, it's in that urban legend part, and probably not a happy topic to focus on. But
lay it on us. Welcome gamers, non-gamers, PvEers, PvPers, and even NPCs. We don't discriminate. This is the New Wave Gaming Podcast. Coming at you with a Hall of Fame kind of episode. What's up, Chuck?
Hey.
How's it going, man?
How's it going?
Dude, did you know there was a Hall of Fame for video games?
No, I did not. Not till we started this. I mean, obviously I know now, but yeah, week and a half ago, I was that years old when I found out.
I had no idea either, man. And there's a Hall of Fame and for video games. What is it? What's the real name here? I didn't think that's not. It's like a official name. World Video Game Hall of Fame. Mm. So they're claiming that world status, and it looks like it's located in Rochester, New York, United States. Chuck, did you kind of were looking at this a little bit? What can you tell us about the World Video Game Hall of Fame? Yeah, you made sure it was legit, right? You double checked it for us.
We started looking into this, and I was like, I was like, well, who's already made it? Like I saw the possible inductees, and for this year, and I was like, well, who's already in there, and that'll give me a little bit of like ability to predict, what they might pick this time. And so as I looked into it, it sounds like there was a museum that was named after a lady whose last name was Strong. I forget her first name, but I want to say initially it was almost like an anthropology type study, more like just history of how human beings, did things in a certain time period. And then at some point they switched over to what is called the Strong Museum of Play.
And cool. I like that name.
Yeah, and I think video games cool kind of popped up, and they were looking at toys and a bunch of stuff like that, and eventually they sort of branched off and made this World Video Game Hall of Fame, and because I think at first I was like, what gives these people the authority to...
The authority.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of this. Like, I'll tell you the top Hall of Fame.
I'll tell you who's going to win this year right now.
It's like, there are other games beside Ark? What do you mean? Like,
dude.
It's like, Ark better be the first one, and I look and I see some pictures of like old Defender cartridge for Atari, and I was like, wait a damn minute. And start looking into it.
You're like looking at it, going like, I've actually played that game. I remember that game.
Yeah. I
don't think I was alive when that game came out.
Yeah, it'd be real easy for someone with a job there to not have those experiences, but none of us have played them all. I guess like when you go all the way back to computer space or whatever. But yeah, I think I was kind of, we were talking a little bit offline there. Like, as far as Hall of Fames, like I think the one I'm most familiar with is the NFL Hall of Fame. I think a lot of Hall of Fames end up located in Ohio for some reason, because it's sort of, in the middle of the country, and I don't know, like people.
Well, it's high in the middle and round on both ends, so. Ohio. Sorry, I'm sorry I had to do that. Dumb dad joke.
I've been to Ohio. There's a lot of like conferences happen there, because like you're bringing a bunch of people from the Forest Service together. Like it's like an 8-hour drive to Ohio from almost the whole country. Like you can kind of reasonably congregate folks there. But yeah, like I started to say there, the NFL Hall of Fame. The way I understand it, like you quit playing, there's like a short like time period where you can't like literally quit playing and then be inducted the next year. Like there's like a 5-year, let's say, waiting period, and then they'll kind of pick a possible class of inductees, like let's just say it's 10 people, and then some type of body gets to vote on it. I forget, whether it's sports writers or the general public gets a say, but they have sort of a matrix of selection there that they weight different things on, and ultimately they say, okay, for 2025, the inductees selected out of our possible choices are these few people, and that seems like how this video games things work. And they've listed about, looks like 8 to 10 things here, and our kind of main topic for today is included in there, and it kind of led us into this, and they have a Wikipedia page that kind of explains some of their criteria and how it works, and it shows what's been inducted already.
Let's look at the finalists for 2025. ChukTomahawk. Dude, thanks for that. Yeah, dude, thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah, no worries.
I mean, again, I found out about this, what was it, the day before yesterday?
Yeah.
But, like, I'm totally not surprised, The video game industry is a monster, and it only makes sense for there to be a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay. The 2025 World Video Game Hall of Fame finalists are Age of Empires, created by Ensemble Studios. Age of Empires was 1997, infused historical scenarios with turn-based and real-time strategy elements, allowing players to reimagine the rise of civilizations. Do you remember that one, Chuck?
Oh, hell yeah. I never played that one, but I played Age of Empires 4. A decent amount.
You had that like the revamped Age of Empires. That came out not too long ago.
It wasn't that long ago, and man, it was fun. It was super fun.
Yeah. I really love the Age of Empires games. I played a lot of Age of Empires 2. Man, we could get lost in the Age of Empires. I mean, we could talk hours for about all of these finalists, to be honest. Well,
like
maybe
when you
a couple
get the old Mustang Cobra out there and take it into some
when you use those cheat codes. Dude, I would just like put in like the cheat codes for like gold, wood, all the resources, and just max out my resources, man. Just completely just dominate, But that was that game was so much fun. All right, let me go through this real quick before we get to into the nostalgia. So, okay, Age of Empires, Angry Birds, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. That's a heavy hitter. Atari Defender. Well, we're gonna look at that closer. We're gonna take a look a little closer, because Chuck was asking, like, well, is it Defender from the Atari or is it Defender from the arcade?
Roger that, yeah.
And you're saying there's a big difference, Chuck?
Fuck yeah, there's a big difference. There's like, is there a difference between Van Gogh paintings and my paintings?
Oh gosh, that was dark. Okay, yeah, Defender, 1981. Wow. Okay, so Frogger, another classic. GoldenEye 007. Oh yeah, listeners, you can't see this, but Chuck just made a very serious face. Golden Tee, Harvest Moon, Mattel Football, NBA 2K, and Quake.
Yeah, this.
Oh, hold on, we're not done. Oh, and the last one, Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
So let's go back up real quick. I'm just going to run through that real quick again, because I kind of lollygagged there. But yeah, we've got Age of Empires, Angry Birds, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Defender, Frogger, GoldenEye 007, Golden Tee, Harvest Moon, Mattel Football, NBA 2K, Quake, and Tamagotchi. So, these are the finalists. So that's why I'm confused, Chuck. Like, I didn't understand, like, are all of these guys in, or are all of these games in, or are they going to pick like 4 out of all of these or something like that?
They're going to pick one out of all of these, as I understand it. And several of these have been up for induction 3 times already, including GoldenEye.
See, okay, I just got to say this before we move forward. I don't understand how Age of Empires GoldenEye 007 and Tamagotchi. Oh, and Quake. I don't understand how those games aren't already in the Hall of Fame.
It's hard.
Hell, I don't understand how this whole list isn't already in the Hall of Fame. When I look at some of the games on the list, the games that have already won.
Yeah. I took issue with that immediately, and some of that focused in.
You're not stoked on what you've seen so far.
I feel like there's been an attempt at fairness here and inclusion a little bit, and out of that list, the only one I haven't played, like at least some version of the series, is the Harvest Moon. Do you know anything about that?
The Harvest Moon? No, I don't. Let's see here. Let me bring that back up. No, in fact, no, I've never played Harvest Moon. It says, let's see what it says here. View details. Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon 1996 offered a peaceful farming experience during a time where combat and fast-paced action games dominated the industry. Its innovative blend of life simulation, community building, and in-game time management established the farming sim genre, influencing countless games such as Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Farmville, and many others. Ah, yeah.
So it was kind of a predecessor to some really popular things, I think, and yeah, well, that makes sense. But yeah, just kind of focusing in on the Tamagotchi there for a second. Was there any part of you that was asked, is this a video game?
With the Tamagotchi?
Yeah, I can see why it's in the list, but I could also see if I sat down to make this list, I might not have thought of it.
Good question. I think it does count as a video game. I really do. Because, it just meets all of the general basic criteria, right? It really does. It's just so different. And, gosh, there's so much to say about the Tamagotchi, dude. I remember when I was in elementary school, you wanted to stay away from a Tamagotchi if you were a dude. especially
little effeminate,
well, no, I mean, looking back, it's no, and I think that Bandai Namco, the ones that really mass produced that thing, I think they never intended. I mean, I think it just kind of happened to become more popular among young girls, back in the 90s and stuff when I think it was 1996 when it initially released.
Uh-huh.
But even Bandai Namco went back and said, we need to this wasn't intended just for girls, it was intended for everyone, boys, girls. And they ended up I think that's how Digimon ended up coming out. I think that's how that kind of happened. But I'm just saying, when I was still living in the U.S., which means I was 5 or 6, maybe 7, when that all changed. God, I don't even remember how old I was. Even, point is I remember when the Tamagotchi came out and they were, floating around there, and I remember seeing them and stuff, and I was just remember nah.
Too cool for that shit.
Yeah, that was it, right? It wasn't like a bullying thing. It wasn't like that. At least I never felt that way. It was more of no, I want to be with the cool kids, That was the thing, because oh man,
I feel because there were so many. One of the things I loved about the Tamagotchi story.
We were playing Pogs. That's what we were doing. We were slamming Pogs, dude, trying to get those Pogs and Slammers out. That's what we were just.
Makes sense.
That was our activity back then.
One of the things I loved about the Tamagotchi story, and I know you're into a lot of the history of Japan and all things going on there. So you might have some insight on this. Is they basically wanted to make something that didn't cost a lot to manufacture, and they had kind of almost the previous generation of video game technology just kind of laying around, it sounded like to me, and they were let's put these in there, and I think that skewed my perception of it, because there used to be this place called B&B Salvage, and my dad would take me there sometimes, and they would have video games like that. It'd be a soccer game that was kind of almost on the level of that Mattel football game that's in this list, but but better. Like you know, a little more of like a black and white character, you know, kind of running around. But they were definitely not like on the level of like Game Boy or something. Like
Nah.
you know, like you could maybe move your character like a soccer version would be you solely played the goalie, you know, or something, and he could kind of either be on the right side, the middle, or the left. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Do you mean kind of like those Tiger Electronics style? Hey, fellow gamers. Hold on, I didn't come out right.
no, that's perfect.
Maybe we should just leave that. Hey, fellow gamers, if you haven't already, go on to Spotify, give us a follow and a 5-star rating. That would help us a bunch. We really need the support. It gets us out there to more fellow gamers like yourself. And yes, I will leave that blooper.
That's right. 'Cause we love you gamos. And
you remember those?
I don't remember like a specific brand, but I just remember at the salvage place, I don't know how they would do it, but they would get just obscure things like, you know, that maybe weren't sold like at Kmart or whatever, and they were on the cheap. And yeah, you know, Dad would go get some tools and I'd find some little toy, and it probably didn't cost him like $1 or something, you know, and it'd keep me busy for a good minute, you know, and, yeah, so I had a few of those, and that's, I feel like when I saw these come out, I was like, oh, that's that technology, and you know, I recognized the screen, like I recognized, you know, okay, this is cool,
Man,
but it's not Game Boy, you know.
Well, no, and I think that was part of like the challenge Tamagotchi was like facing is the Game Boy had already come out. I think when did the Game Boy come out? Like 1989. I think it was 1989.
It has
or something
to been
like that.
Already out. Yeah, I don't know exactly when. But.
Yeah, because the Nintendo came out in '84. Game Boy came out like the original classic brick Game Boy was like '89, I think, and that thing was like dominating, right? And then after it came out, they made a cheaper version, like the Game Boy Pocket, I think it was called, or something. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit smaller. It was $50, I think, a little bit, you know, more inexpensive. And then so. Aki Maita and Akihiro Yokoi in '96 were like, hey, dude, did you hear the story about the commercial? The like the background of the Tamagotchi?
I feel like maybe I did, but I don't remember it just yet. Like the commercial, was that one of the things that got it kickstarted, or?
Well, in a indirect fashion, you might say, or direct. But basically, what I heard this is what I heard, so don't take this as like fact, is that Akihiro Yokoi like saw a commercial or something where like, or an advertisement of some sort where like a family went on a long trip, and they wouldn't let their kid take they wouldn't let their kid take their pet.
I do remember this now. It was a turtle. Yeah, the kid had a turtle. Myrtle the turtle's going to the beach.
Turtle? Going on a long ass drive from Tokyo to Osaka, and and your mom,
exactly.
Can I take my
like
turtle?
some
like,
shit I would come up with, you know, like, well, what about Mr. Turtle? Like, yeah.
We're gonna turn him into some sort of yakimeshi if you don't. I'm
packing a little suitcase for him, his little food together. Yeah. So yeah, that was the story, and like he saw that kid's dilemma and was like, I've got an answer for that. Like,
yeah, and apparently that was the inspiration. You know, I'm sure there was some research and dev going on, and eventually they approached Bandai Namco, and I guess the story is that they were hesitant in Bandai, and they had to do some like trials. You know, they had to do a bunch of trials, like street trials, and they like made they made several and did it and tested it out on the streets, and it did well. And well, long story short, I think they sold like, I don't remember if it was 4 million or 5 million units, like in the first 6 months or something like that.
Jeez.
It was something like that. It was like an insane amount of sales. And yeah, it's such a simple little, I think the original Tamagotchi was just like in a white eggshell. Oh, and by the way, Tamagotchi is a loose translation for like an egg watch. because tamago is like an egg.
I have to interject here. Like, I thought, you know what I thought the origin story of, like, when I saw it immediately, I was like, I know how they got the idea for this. Like, in the 70s, like, we had what's called the pet rock. Like, you literally had like a pet rock, and you were solely responsible for all the story. Like, you know how the Tamagotchi has, like, you raise a pet and all that, like you all that was in your mind. Like, you had to, you know, just add all that flavor to the pet rock. And I had like a shit version of it. I think the real pet rock like came in a box with some holes in it, like you were taking home a pet from, you know, the Kmart or something pet section. But like mine was just a rock with some googly eyes glued on it, and you know, you just eventually he would lose an eye, and like, you know, somehow you'd like, you'd be at Kmart like trying to find another googly eye, and they'd have one, but it wouldn't be the same size as the one you had, you know. So you got this fucking Mr. Psycho fucking pet rock with one fucking small googly eye and a bigger one, you know. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting us going down that road.
Like,
that's so hilarious. That sounds a lot like something we had to do back in middle school here in Mexico. We had this class where you had to, like, well, it was more like a project, a homework project, you know, over time, and we had to like take care of an egg. We had to like paint an egg and dress it. I don't remember what the rules were. There were like rules, you know. We had to like make it look like a little like mini human and then take care of it for like, I don't remember if it was 24 hours or 48 hours, but and like the whole objective was for, you know, to understand the responsibilities behind that. But
yeah, like home ec type things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Gosh darn, that's awesome. So you had a rock.
A pet rock. And so when I saw this, I thought, like, you know, that had to be the inspiration for this. So it was interesting for me to hear the turtle story, and yeah, and I just love how it connected to like you know, they had that technology, like I'm talking about, for those sort of, yeah, I would consider like almost first, second generation type video game. If you think of that Mattel football game as the first, you know, like this is like, I feel like you know, one tier above that. And
yeah, it's bare bones.
You know, and I feel like I was probably in my early 20s when these came out, and I remember like hearing they were banned at our high school. I probably ran into my old science teacher, shout out Mr. Ward, and like I saw him, and yeah, I remember like you know, maybe he said something like you know, these kids are driving me crazy with these freaking Tamagotchis or whatever they are.
Man, I mean, I guess they were just like extremely successful and popular, and became a problem, like, because like the initial iterations of the Tamagotchi, you know, had the little creature that you would raise, and it would die eventually. That was
like, that was fucking hurt, man. Like, because I just know like how that's why these work, you know, just whatever that connection is. Because somebody pointed out, like, you can take make a TikTok live or some kind of live and put googly eyes on a Roomba, and if you go kick it, like, people complain, like you know, like, it don't take much to personify something, you know.
I could do that. I have one of those things. I'm gonna
yeah, make a video, put some googly eyes on it, and then go kick the shit out of it and see if people don't flip out.
Oh, I would never do that. Dude, that thing kicks ass. I love it. Saves me so much time. If
you know what I mean.
Draw
I mean,
big,
like,
yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Just to, you know, mildly abuse it, and people are going to be like, "What?"
We need all the listeners we can get.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's hilarious, dude. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it like, and I think eventually it would change a little bit, but in the very beginning, you know, you would begin with like a baby of, you know, and I think these were like, you know, they weren't based on real animals, you know, they were otherworldly creatures, but you'd raise it from its babyness all the way up until, you know, eventually it would die. Like even if, even if you took, dude, that's what blows me away is that they were able to put this creative of it, like, well, not this creative, but this, like this whole game with its complexity and its, you know, like choice patterns and its story development, like into a little tiny 2-inch circle egg thing with bare bones tech. Yeah. They were able to create all of that, dude. And I'm looking for the right moment to interject this, but I'm just going to interject it now. It reminds me a hell of a lot of Ark.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's hitting all of those same buttons, dude. When you're taming stuff in Ark Survival Evolved or Ark Survival Ascended, it's the same addiction, dude. It's like, oh, I gotta go back and check on my shit.
Absolutely. 100%. So much
and that's
so
that addiction that those high school teachers were talking about. Sorry, I didn't.
Yes, and like so much so that, like, you know, over the last couple nights as I'm, you know, just brainstorming about this, I feel like that should be made. Like I want to make a Ark like Tamagotchi. Like
no!
and then as I thought more, I was like, man, this has to like this could be an app on your phone. Like and you go and look and there is a Tamagotchi app and yeah, you could do this on your phone, which makes a little bit of sense. And, you know, I was even last night, I was like, I wonder if they still sell these on Amazon and how long that would take to get to East Tennessee.
Oh,
and,
my God. I knew you were going to, I knew this was going to happen.
Up and I was like, I wouldn't enjoy one of these. And I was like, there's a Star Wars one. You can praise an R2-D2? What? Like, and, no, I didn't. I knew this. I knew I would have to face this, so I didn't. But $13 is what it would take for. I could have ordered it last night and it'd be here today.
I'm glad you didn't, because if you had hit that button, I don't know if this podcast would make it. We'd lose our co-host Tomahawk.
Beep, 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 beep. And I think that's one of the interesting things of the story. And I wonder if they didn't miss an opportunity here, because a lot of like it's kind of, when you look at these videos of the history of this, they'll mention that one of the reasons it got banned at schools is that you did have to take care of it. In some of the first versions, if you left it alone for the amount of time it would take to go to school, like let's say that's 8 hours, it'd be dead when you got home, so you had to take that fucker to school.
Yeah, and it would eventually. I don't remember if it came out in Gen 1, but eventually, like shortly after, I think by 97 or maybe by 98, they had a version of this thing that would beep even if it was off. It would beep, and the beep meant you had to tend to your Tamagotchi.
He's dying.
Yeah, he needs food. He needs attention. He needs love. He needs your, you have to make a choice for him. Yeah, he has to be trained.
It's gonna be harder on you later. Like, yeah.
I still can't believe that they were able to program that into a little egg.
And
like,
I feel like the missed opportunity. Like, why, when my Tamagotchi got to a certain age, he should have had to go to school. Like there should have been a thing. Like when I went to school, I sent him to school, and he he could wait till I got home, and it would, it would have worked out. But I think the way it went was like, no, sir, you got to have Mr. Tamagotchi there with you, and. Boy, howdy! I also extrapolated this to today. I recently saw a video of like a lamp you can get that has a personality. Oh yeah, I've seen that, man, dude. I saw that thing and I was thinking about it. Yeah, I thought about it, and then I was like, no, I cannot get that. I will not get that. Well, and one of the things, like imagine if the monetization of these things had been like it is today, and you had a subscription service, that. Oh, yeah, you got. See, I feel like that's what that lamp's going to be. Like that lamp, once I get attached to it, they're going to be like... Why are you looking over to the left? Did you get one? I have a arm on my table. I have this nice table that raises up and down, and it has an arm on it that looks a lot like a lamp. That, it's made for a side monitor. I have my camera for my PS5 on top of it right now, but so it actually has a couple eyes up there. So it literally is what that's why I keep looking that way. But... I feel like I saw a video that predicted that these things are gonna they're going to be anthropomorphized, and we're going to love them, and then there's going to be a subscription service to keep it doing what it's doing, and you're going to be shelling it out because you love that little thing. And
Man.
I feel like that, man, if Tamagotchis had that technology, if the internet like had been what it is today, and when they came out, dude, like they'd have been selling little jackets for those little freaking, like just the skins, all the money.
Oh yeah. Oh man. So yeah, that and I saw the same things all over the place, that kids were like reportedly like breaking out in tantrums and crying and stuff because their Tamagotchis would die, and and then schools started to have to like address the issue, because and this is way before cell phones were a thing.
Dude, there's an urban legend that someone hung themselves over their Tamagotchi.
Are you serious?
Dang,
dude, you were searching the depths of the web for some intel.
Yeah, over there in the dark web. Yeah, there's a story. I don't know a lot of the details. Like I say, it's in that urban legend part, and probably not a happy topic to focus on. But
lay it on us.
Oh yeah, just I think like short version is there was a young person, I think it was a female, that had hung herself over the loss of their Tamagotchi, and like something else I noticed in that part of my research, you probably saw the same stuff, but like the cultural differences, like the one in America, it seems like eventually when you would come find your dead Tamagotchi, the original version, there was a tombstone, there, but in the America one, they made it be an angel, like I like how there's a little bit more of
oh dude, I think the original Japanese one was brutal. Like
it shocked you a little bit when you picked it up.
A little jolt, like, and then you like open it up and you see the tombstone. It's like, like, can you imagine like being a young? I think back, and I don't know if it would have really, if I had a Tamagotchi, I didn't have one, but I probably got my hands on a couple back then, and played it. I don't remember exactly, but I know that I didn't own one. But I don't think it would have really impacted me like it maybe others, because it is just a video game. And even back then, I was pretty cognizant of that. Like, I never played a video game that kind of hit me emotionally. You know what I'm saying? But I can see how, for the masses, the masses is another thing.
There is something built into us, I think, to love cute things. How just a small dog, small anything, and I just think this hits. Art kind of hits that too, as you like raise something from, its digital baby form like that, like it's and naming it especially, like, is another level of attachment. And once that's began and you realize it's up to you, you're in there. The buy-in,
Oh like, man. No, and these guys, Tamagotchi and Bandai Namco, they did it right, with their marketing and keeping it fresh, always making new versions, and doing like licensed, like they did one with Pokemon. Obviously, that was like, can you imagine like you're seeing your favorite franchises come together, especially in like Japan, where like they don't necessarily do that often. Like, how Nintendo's hyper protective of their licenses and of their what's it called?
Intellectual property.
IP. Their IP. Yeah, their intellectual property. So, but I can also see like when they see a great opportunity, you got to take advantage of it, no matter where, no matter how strict you want to be. So when Pokemon and Tamagotchi came together and they made I think it was an Eevee or Eve. I don't remember the name of that Pokemon, but I think it was Eevee. They made like an Eevee Tamagotchi where you'd raise a Pokemon. Right?
Game over.
Like, that's just such, that had to have been a killer in sales. It had to have been.
Yeah. Like, I remember how they used to talk about those killer apps for things, like that had to be like in the little handheld video game world, like
Yep.
The killer app, yeah. One of those videos almost made it like this was like kind of like an inspiration for Pokemon. I kind of missed Pokemon. Like I know what it is, and I see the cards and everything. But as far as like it, being something I was into, like that, just it's never happened. I love the concept of it and the everything, but yeah, it's a little bit of a mystery to me. So.
Pokemon was pretty badass. I really enjoyed the original iterations of Pokemon, and then after Ash and that crew, I kind of fell off of that. But so yeah, man, Tamagotchi is in this list. What about these other games? ChukTomahawk? What about Quake, man? Remember Quake?
I think of Joe Rogan when I think of Quake. Apparently, like he had a T1 line like stretched up in the freaking Colorado Rockies or something there like, to play Quake. And I just saw a video about it. And he was talking about like he said it was funner than anything he'd done in real life. Like he had to quit cold turkey apparently, like because it was taking over his life.
Yeah, he always comments like when the topic comes up that. Like there's certain things that he knows that he has to stay away from because he'll just completely fall in a black hole of addiction with them because of their funness. And those two things he always mentions are golf and video games.
Yeah. And I almost took it like Quake is the one too. Like the one that really got its hooks into him. But I think of Doom, like it's right down that line. We've talked about it before. It's like I feel like a better Doom.
It is, dude. And I played Quake. I got to play Quake, it well after it actually came out. Well, maybe not. Let's see here. id Software's Quake shook up the gaming world when it debuted in 1996. The first-person shooter's 3D engine became the new standard for the industry, and its multiplayer mode helped to spawn the world of esports. The revolutionary Quake game code has been linked to dozens of other games and continues to be used in some modern games nearly 30 years after its release. Okay, so what they're saying here is that basically the DNA of the game, some of the DNA, the coding, you can still find in games being developed today. Because of how innovative it was. id Software. What were those guys' names? Was it John Carmack? Let me see here. I'm trying to remember their id Software.
Yeah, it was John Romero and Tom
Hall
and Adrian Carmack.
That's it. Wait, there's someone missing in here. Adrian Carmack? John Carmack. There. Programmers John Carmack and John Romero. Game designer Tom Hall, and artist Adrian Carmack. I wonder if John Carmack and Adrian Carmack were hermanos. Anyways.
Related.
Yeah, Quake was tons of fun. And I definitely remember playing that back in the day. That was a good one. Let's see what else we got here.
I can tell you who I voted for.
GoldenEye 007?
Yep.
Oh, did you already vote?
I almost did. I kind of was going through that process, and that's when I started researching more about the Strong Museum, and I didn't go back and finish voting. But that's who I'm voting for. You can vote once a day too, so you can vote for more than one.
Man, I'm because when I look, we got GoldenEye 007. I still can't believe that this isn't already in the Hall of Fame. We did a great episode. Well, I thought it was. I mean, we were still learning how to pod. I mean, we're still learning how to pod, but we were really in the beginning back, I think, when we did our GoldenEye 007 episode. But it's back there. Definitely check it out.
The only reason I could come up with is that, like the only bad thing I can say about 007 that I think a lot of people forget when you go back and try and play it in its original form is like we're so used to being able to control the head and the body kind of separately, and like you kind of can't do that in there unless you use two controllers, and it's hard, but that's other than that, like I have nothing but perfect things to say about it. Like it created like kind of a genre of this first person sort of perspective shooter that I feel like, like we're still all loving today. So it was hard for me to look at some of the things that were already in and that, and ask why not. And then I tried to just, create my own thoughts, like a world, like knownness. Like I think that's why like things like Angry Birds is on this list. Just hell, my mom's played Angry Birds with me on an airplane. Like, that's probably the only video game I've ever seen her play. Like you know, like people that you wouldn't think of know what Angry Birds is.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, in GoldenEye, it says here, when we've talked about this, but just to recap, in 1997, Rare and Nintendo partnered to release GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64 console, a first-person shooter based on author Ian Fleming's iconic British super spy, James Bond. Lauded for its in-depth story and immersive gameplay. Definitely immersive gameplay. That's valid. GoldenEye 007 is especially known for its highly popular four-person multiplayer mode, which influenced many multiplayer games that followed. It was the third best-selling game for the Nintendo 64, only trailing Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. Man.
Yeah. My heart goes to Frogger a lot here. Just like if you look up there, like I think a lot of it's like games that it was about as popular as like are up there. I mean, it wasn't as popular as Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, but like it's right there with it. It had a cartoon, for God's sake. Like it had a Saturday morning cartoon.
Frogger was originally developed by Konami and later licensed by Sega and Gremlin. Frogger jumped into the arcade in 1981. The simple but increasingly challenging gameplay, navigating frogs across a 5-lane highway, provided widespread appeal to players of all ages. The game leaped from the arcade into everyday culture, becoming infused with music, TV, and other games. It reached its pop culture pinnacle in the 1998 episode of Seinfeld. 1998 episode of Seinfeld. I didn't realize Seinfeld was still on in 1998. Where the character George navigated a Frogger arcade cabinet across a busy road, mimicking the gameplay to humorous effect. You remember that?
I do now. Like Kramer was out there helping, like making it funny. Like,
was George the one that had the crazy hair?
Short, bald guy. Yeah.
Oh no,
Kramer's the
Costanza.
one with the crazy hair. Yeah.
Costanza. Okay, that's right. Oh, George. Gosh, that guy was always just complaining about something.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, that was I want to throw on some Seinfeld and watch some for nostalgia.
Good, it's really good.
Okay, let's go back. I want to take a look real quick at some of these other finalists here. Let's talk about. Is there one that you want to check?
I did play the shit out of those Mattel football games. I feel like my heart goes to that a little bit. Like just because it was, if you look at that list, it's half a decade or a decade and a half above in front of all these other things. So it was alone.
Yeah, dude, and this is when they were like Remember when the video game console itself was the publisher of the games?
Mm-hmm.
I think this was still back in those times, wasn't it?
Makes sense.
Or am I wrong here?
No, that's how that one. When it says Mattel, the toy company.
Released in 1977. Mattel Electronics Football was the first blockbuster handheld electronic game. So it was a handheld. And introduced millions to portable gaming. Its popularity generated an entire segment of electronic toys and games and paved the way for handheld systems like Nintendo's Game Boy and today's mobile devices. In 2010, Time magazine named it one of its all-time 100 gadgets. So in a weird, perhaps indirect fashion, we're kind of talking about a predecessor to the Tamagotchi, right? Because it was you're talking about, that tech, that old school tech. That's this.
And I feel like, man, this is right on the edge of not being a video game, because one of the things that's pointed out in that history of the Tamagotchi is like, hey y'all, it's Chuck T. I don't know how, but here you are listening to me. So this is your call to action. Need you to hit the social medias, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikTok, and put in at NWG Podcasts, and you'll figure out what we've been doing lately and what's going on with the podcast, and that'll link you up and maybe get over there listening to it out there on Spotify and Apple and those kind of places, wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a review. 5 stars is what I'm thinking. Even if you don't like it, give us a 5-star anyway, and we'll read it out on the podcast. So yeah, help us out. Give us some feedback. Interact. And if you take a notion, want to send us an email, you can get in touch with us at Ovox and Chuk at gmail.com. That's OVOXANDCHUK at gmail.com. Hope to see you there. Things like the Furby that came along later that do a lot of the same things but don't have a screen. Like, nobody thinks of that on a video game list. Like, it's a popular toy list, but So it is the screen. I mean, obviously, sort of like video game. So yeah, I think that Mattel football like probably reached a lot of other people. I remember it distinctly, like playing the shit out of it, and like there were some other things that were kind of right in that ballpark that we don't think of as video games. I had this thing called the Merlin. It was kind of like this red thing that looked like a phone that did a bunch of light games, like matching shit. You had Simon Says, like, which is kind of right, in that ballpark. But like, unless you've got that video screen with that little character, like you can't be amongst these. And the character on the Mattel football was just a dash, literally like what you'd put between 2 words. That was your man. And
yep,
man. But when you get that fucker going down the sideline and that it'd start playing that music, the crowd would be cheering, and like you'd get across that goal line, like you're just like, fuck. Your dad would look over for me like, he knows how to run that thing.
Oh my goodness, man. That's insane. That's so cool. Like, that's right when tech was really starting to show itself, in the household.
Oh yeah, like I remember it distinctly. Like you pass that ball, it kind of flash as it was in the air, and then it would hit that character and go. Like you could run. Then it was just like, oh god, the screen wrapped over and over. It wasn't like it took a lot of imagination. So I don't know. Yeah, I we talked a little offline about Golden Tee. Like I feel like that was like the barroom freaking like champion of my college career. Like every bar here in our town that I went to college in had one of those, and it would constantly be, like a line to get in there,
racking up the quarters.
Yeah.
Let me bring that one up real quick. Let's take a peek at Golden Tee. Gosh, I remember that game so well.
The
man.
ball, man.
I remember the big ball. Yeah, you'd have to roll it, man. There it goes.
You just turn around, look at all your drunk friends, fucking double high fives. Fuck yeah.
It says here, 4! Exclamation point. Incredible Technologies golf game Golden Tee hit the sweet spot with players after debuting in 1989. The game used a simple trackball controller, yep, there it is, to make golf shots and bring the links to the arcade. The game spawned sequels, spin-offs, and updated versions, including a 1995 version that allowed for tournaments to be run via connected play. I didn't know that. In many ways, Golden Tee was a pioneer in the world of esports. In 2019, 30 years after its release, versions of the game still generated $500 million a year in revenue for operators.
Damn.
Wow.
$500 million.
$500 million.
It's a lot of quarters.
It's a lot of quarters. Yeah. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Can you imagine,
it's gonna be hard to get
walking into the bank with that?
Yeah.
Got half a B here. Sir, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd try.
Be
All right,
near
let's,
fucking impossible.
yeah, that's a lot. You're right, Chuck. That is a lot of quarters, man. Okay, let's see here. I wanted to bring up because I think we kind of skipped over it, and I remember you were talking a little bit of smack earlier about Defender.
Yeah.
Where'd it go? Here it is. Defender, released by Williams Electronics in 1981, Defender proved that players would embrace more complex and challenging games in the arcade. Defender married intense gameplay and a complicated control scheme into a horizontally scrolling space shooter. Oh, there's a typo on their thing here. It sold more than 55,000 units, high figures for an arcade machine, and helped create a new market for more difficult games. Okay, Chuck, I think this answers your question, man. They're not referring to the Atari version of Defender. I think they're just referring to Defender.
Has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But explain, Chuck, explain.
I just, like remember the controversy of the Pac-Man at the arcade versus Pac-Man on the Atari. Like it just, like, yeah, the system couldn't reproduce what we had at the arcade, and yeah, it was a much lesser version of it. But I do think, like, when I think of Defender, like what kept me coming back was it had this feature, like whereas in Asteroids is fairly similar, like it's not moving like side to side in that 2D platformer kind of way, but you're a spaceship shooting shit, but you had to rescue these people, these tiny little fucking stick figure people. There was a feature like where they had to be saved, and man, that's like immediately my mind goes to like, what about the people we gotta save? Like, like it just something.
There's still survivors down there.
Yeah, you just like, as little as that little guy was, man, it was up to you to fucking save him. And yeah, I think of that, and in the arcade it was much more like just even though the graphics compared to what we play with today were shit, like it was much better graphics and movement.
Man, I know what you're saying, and I still remember running into those cabinets, those Defender cabinets in arcades, because even because when I was growing up and hitting those arcades up before they kind of fell off a little bit, when I think arcades into the 90s and early 2000s were still a thing. And when I was in there getting after it in those arcades, even down here in Mexico, we'd go down to the city and they have a bunch of these arcades called Recorcholis. And they were massive, dude, massive arcades. They were awesome. And they'd have a section, like a retro or vintage section with all old school games, and I still remember seeing some Defenders in there and the Golden Tee.
Okay, let me create a mind or a like a thought experiment here. Let's say you could go back to those times, and I told you can have a Tamagotchi. Like, I'm going to give you a Tamagotchi, or you get a full roll of quarters to go in play in this arcade. Which do you want?
Oh, the arcade. Yeah. The full roll of quarters all day.
So I just like I get why it's on the list and everything, and it's honestly, like, I feel like there's it's going to be popular. It sounds like it's popular again now. Like, people are really buying the shit out of these again. Oh
yeah, dude.
So
you know how this goes.
So I'm definitely not shitting on it, but I feel like if you gave me a chance back in the day, like, I'd rather play them games. Like, even though the Tamagotchi is the thing I'd have from now on, and even if you manned it up, and gave me a Digimon R2D2 one, I'd probably still want to play the games, even if it was Defender and these games. So yeah, I still got to vote. I feel like, yeah, Defender's above Tamagotchi for me. Is the
we're putting our formal votes in here for the pod. Is that what you're saying? For our fellow listeners?
Let's look.
Matter of fact, let me take advantage before I forget, Chuck. Sorry for jumping in you, but you can help me put this request out. Fellow gamers, let us know what you would vote for. You can hit us up on the Spotify comments or reach out to us, but let us know. All our info's there in the descriptions, but let us know what you think, who you would vote for out of the finalists for the 2025 World Video Game Hall of Fame. The list is on there. We wouldn't go through that again, but yeah, let us know. Hit us up what you're going to vote for.
And they have like a few criteria here that they talk about, like it meeting 4 criteria: the icon status, is it widely recognized and remembered? Longevity, is it more than a passing fad and has enjoyed popularity over time? Geographical reach, meets the above criteria across international boundaries. And influence, has exerted significant influence on the design and development of other games, on other forms of entertainment, or on popular culture and society in general. Dude, I just did it. Like, somebody talked about like a kid being the popcorn reader in their class or whatever. Like remember when you used to have to read shit out loud in class, and it was hard. Like I felt like that just now. Like all that popcorn reading. Like when you're like, has exerting significant. You know how a popcorn maker works. Yeah. Gotta shoot out a few words.
Don't worry, Chuck. Nobody's judging you, man. We all love it. Nobody's looking.
Sorry about the popcorn read.
It wasn't until the turn of the and then
yeah, I gotta fuck with myself there. But yeah, I feel like that influence one is where that's why GoldenEye's got to be in there.
Dude, I think just listening to you read off those criteria, I feel like Tamagotchi beats Defender.
Boy, that geographical reach is a tough one, I bet. Like, yeah.
Tamagotchi, dude, I think has way more geographical reach than...
I think Defender would surprise you. Like, if you hit the right age demographic, like a person like...
That's true. That's
in
true.
Turkey that's like the same age as me. Like, I feel like I could probably say, hey, man, you ever heard of that? And they'd be like, the one with the little people?
Yeah. Remember, you got to save them. You got to save the people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But, yeah, you're right. It's like I said, like I think my gut feeling was my first, like, sort of, it's kind of counterintuitive. When you really start to examine it, like, you're like, shit, it is a video game. And they took some fairly old technology and fucking made it into a cool ass thing. Like, yeah. Which is even more respectable.
So, Chuck, just to confirm, who are you voting for? Who gets your vote for 2025 Hall of Fame?
GoldenEye 007.
GoldenEye 007. You heard it here, fellow gamers. I am going to vote for...
Before you vote, let me say this too. I will say, like if we go back to my analogy of the NFL Hall of Fame, once you've been nominated like a few times before, you should get a real good look here, because eventually it gets old you being nominated, and you might just fall off the list. Like, so, and there's 3 games, I think, and 007 being one of them, that have been on here 3 times before. I forget exactly what the other ones are, but
well, I don't need any more to be said, ChukTomahawk, because I am also going to vote for GoldenEye 007, and I am basing my vote on the simple fact that it is, out of all the games I'm looking at here, when I look at the ones that I've actually played, out of those games, GoldenEye 007 is the one that formulated the most memories the most amazing memories. And yeah, GoldenEye is where it's at for me, just because of just on a pure awesome memories basis. Like it just like, yeah, hands down. Anyways, well, shoot, ChukTomahawk, we're already at an hour, man. That went by quick when you're having fun. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it was a fun topic, man. I say it was kind of a journey for me. Like I was like, is this a video game? I was like, yeah, this is definitely a video game. And then, like, fuck, like I almost bought one last night. So,
hell yeah! Well,
honestly, yeah, I think your better management of money like kept me from doing it. It was gonna be hard to tell you I'd blown $13 on that, and knowing there's a lot of other good video games out there.
Well, and we are video game podcasters, and I think it's part of like not that this is a job, but we need to be playing all the video games we can get our hands on, reasonably speaking. So
Word.
At the same, well, what a hell of a fun episode. Fellow gamers out there, please hit us up, drop a comment, let us know who you're going to vote for, or who you would vote for, what video game rather, for 2025 World Video Game Hall of Fame. And well, you know who we're voting for? Mm-hmm. Chuck, fellow gamers, have an awesome weekend and have an awesome week.
Yeah, everybody have a great week. Peace.